right, good morning. Southern English Radio Show here, coming to you live, finally, via the Sparks Toyota Tundra Studio at Sparks Toyota, where the dealer is always in. Boy, I'm falling behind here.
Come on.
All right, your turn. Your turn to mess up.
Yeah, and Marshall's Marine of Lake City and Georgetown, where every day is a boat show.
Every day.
And by the Freedom Boat Club, where your boat is waiting.
And by Monarch Roofing. Hey, our good friend Bert Williams, and you know that's the one person that we should have invited to come hang out with us today.
You know what he's doing right now. He's sitting, eating breakfast, listening to us on the radio.
Yep.
Watching over the ocean right now.
Somewhere, you better believe it. So you follow him on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Well, we are at Waccamaw Outfitters for our ninth annual Big Christmas Extravaganza and Giftaway. And we've got a lot of wonderful things here to give away. We got a lot of wonderful things with purchases. In other words, come over here and knock out your Christmas list. And while we've got Capt Matt over here with us, let's talk about Waccamaw Outfitters and all the great Christmas options that somebody can come knock that list out. You and I talked this week. You sent me a list over. Let's talk about some of those things.
You know, we got turtle boxes on special.
Bam.
Now. I mean, that's a hot gift item this year. They're well worth the money.
That they are.
Loud float.
You got one, don't
Yeah.
you?
I do. Yeah. I've got two of them.
And you demonstrated it to me a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I had to take my hearing aid off. It was so loud.
I mean, we've got Catch the Fever fishing rods. We've got the Hellcat. You know, all you cat fishermen, we got the Hellcats here. All of our apparel. We've got Ocean Tamer bean bags. I'm going to tell you, those make for a great ride out.
Oh, boy, do they. You know? Anybody that has, who came up with the idea? Think about it. Who said, Fred's here too. We've got Chef Richard in the house. Fishhead James, the OG of Fishheads, is in the house. But who came up with it, Fred? I wonder, was it a king mackerel fisherman? You would almost have to think.
Oh, yeah.
You would almost have to think.
Well, I'll tell you know the best thing about them? They're not only for fishing.
No.
We got rid of our furniture out around the pool, and I have all my fishing bean bags out there. And that's
a great
that's
idea.
what we sit in.
That's a good idea.
They weather. You don't have to worry about them, and so it's not only for fishing.
Are these the ones that float too?
They do.
They do float. I mean, they're not used as floaty. You know, if they blow out the boat or something, yeah, they're going to float. But you can't just lounge around in the water with them. They're not.
So I'm going to just say this real quick. In our national championship excursion that we made to Southport, on the day that was from hell that we were on,
Oh no!
I looked at McClure, who is under my watch when we're fishing, and I said, McClure, I want you to remember one thing. If you go out this boat or this boat goes over, swim straight to the beanbag and hold on.
Yes.
Because there is a handle on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can wrap your arm in it and hold on.
Yep.
Of course, I don't know with them 9-footers if it would have made much of a difference, but it would have been help.
It would have helped.
But, yes, beanbags are incredible. But anyway, let's talk about, you mentioned the turtle box real quick. Do we have a little contest for a turtle box? Did we?
Do. Yeah,
So we had a...
You're going to have to come get it. You're going to have to show up. That's the only
No. Absolutely they do. But I think we had an anonymous donor.
We do.
Who has donated a turtle box, and that is going to be a with purchase contest. In other words, you come in, and we're going to say this. You got to buy at least one of Capt Matt's $100 buckets. Now, what we're talking about here, Matt made a deal. Matt did a deal. Basically, you get a Waccamaw Outfitters bucket, go shopping. You get 25% off if you buy over $100 in that bucket. That's not that hard.
We got a bucket bundle special. You know, $100 or more, you get 25% off.
My shopping assistant to the right of me doesn't even realize, and he's been complaining about not shopping. Well, he doesn't realize it. I'm giving him a bucket, and he's got to go fill it up with $100 worth of stuff because we're getting into contests. By the way, you're eligible too. We talked about this. He and I were texting already. We made the executive decision that we're eligible. If we spend the money, we're eligible.
Yes.
So, I'm sending Russ shopping, but I know we've talked to a lot of people that are coming out today, and we're going to be here till 12. We'll be here till 12. I know you guys will probably be here longer.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be here till 12, and we have a special guest also that's going to be joining us here shortly, and that is JT Thompkins. He's been on the show with us before. We talked about him a lot. He's one of our own. We say that. He's from here in Myrtle Beach, and he is one of the hottest tickets in bass fishing. Won Angler of the Year in all the open divisions this year. and qualified number 1 for the Elite Series next year.
Nice.
And he is bringing out some of his FX custom rods that he's representing now and going to have those. And he's going to give a casting demonstration and also going to let you try to cast his rods. And now we're hoping that he doesn't give the bait caster to the wrong people.
Yeah.
But he does have some spinning rods set up. Fred even raised his hands for that.
I need bait casting tutorial for sure.
But my good friend Ed Piotrowski last night and I were texting while I was in the deer stand, and while he was trying to get the weather situated, he may make an appearance as well. Hopefully he comes over and knocks out some shopping lists. But if nothing else, he did share it on Facebook, I heard. And when that happens, it's like viral.
It is.
If you can get Ed to share something, it goes viral. So we're hoping we get a good crowd over here, and we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna play some games. We got a lot of we do have some giveaways for people that don't purchase. You may show up, and we do have some giveaways for them as well that include hats, shirts, gift cards, and various things. And we also have 2 $50 gift cards to Waccamaw Outfitters.
Waccamaw Outfitters, yeah. So,
and those are with purchase as well, I think. Or are we going to give?
No, we're going to give them away. If you show up, they're going to get a $50 gift card.
Okay, so we're going to have some way.
I mean, if you're in earshot, I would suggest you get over here to Waccamaw Outfitters at Conway Marina.
I ditto.
Car.
I agree. I'm looking around. There he is, Don Neesmith in the house, the founder, recent founder, thanks to some screwball and whatever else, recent founder of the Kayak Association here, the Grand Strand Kayak Association, and we'll get him on here to join with us today, too. He's got some tournament stuff in the works and doing a great job with that. But we're just excited. It's Christmas, and, I got a deer story to tell. I don't know if I want to tell it now. I know Lucas is listening. But last night I harvested my first buck of the year, first deer of the year, period. Nice. And it was a traumatic experience.
Sounds like it. You told me about that.
It was. And I'll tell you one thing that I have always said in deer hunting, and this is just my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the easiest part of deer hunting is pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
I think for most people, the easiest part is to pull the trigger. I think the hardest thing is to not pull the trigger. Here's the deal. You can't eat antlers or horns, as somebody said earlier.
No, you can't.
You can't eat antlers. They don't taste good, so it doesn't really matter. But if you manage a place for trophy and for nice bucks, you're going to typically let younger bucks walk. And we, at Lost She, I'll say where it is, at Lost She, had a beautiful 6-pointer that did not have brow tines. And a young lady early in the season shot at said deer, and unfortunately her scope, and they realized it afterwards, her scope had come off, had moved.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So she made a leg shot, unfortunately did not hit any vitals, and this deer showed up on my game camera out there early on, and we started watching this deer, and it dropped, it went down to about 80 pounds, maybe a little bit more, ribs, and I've got pictures of it that head-to-head with a coyote, which we thought for sure it was not going to survive that night.
No.
And it did.
So it did. And in the last 3 weeks, this deer has put on weight. And, while all the pictures that we have, you see this left leg up. You don't ever see it on the ground. So you're only thinking maybe it's getting better. You're looking at still photos. You're not looking at video. So you're thinking the deer's getting better, and he is putting on weight. So we had all made kind of a decision that we were going to hold Gimpy. He had gotten a name, Gimpy. We were cheering Gimpy on, and that included my family, my kids. Like every morning, wanted to know, was Gimpy out, and we would look and find Gimpy if Gimpy came out, and so it got personal. And so last night at 5:15, Gimpy, it got personal. Gimpy decided to gimp out, and it was kind of weird at first because to watch how a 3-legged deer walks.
Oh, yeah.
And it could move, but that left leg was just dangling. Didn't see any motion out of it at all. And then as he was eating, I watched, and the text started. So I started with Lucas. I said, "What do you think?" And I'm like, he actually came out. And I'm like, because I had said I wasn't going to shoot. And then I watched, and he's like, it's your decision. I got the whole text thing. He's like, it's on you, man. And I was like, dude, don't do this to me. It's your property. It's your deer. It's your deer.
It's like the family pet, too.
Yeah, it's like the family pet now. I'm like, so who do I text next? My wife. I'm like, Gimpy's out. What do I do? She's like, is he struggling? I'm like, yes. Is he suffering? I'm like, I don't know if he's suffering or not. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was watching him eat, and I started, watching. I mean, he was close. He was 85 yards. I'm watching through the binoculars. I'm watching through the scope, and as he's leaning over, I don't want to get into. He's swaying and stuff. And listen, we're not into the heart of winter yet, and the coyotes are ferocious. And I just couldn't. I literally put the crosshairs on him like 3 times. Took them off. Put it off. And then I quit texting with any of them. And I said, I got to make this decision. I've got to make this decision. And as the sun started going down, it got, man, I'm going to say one thing about Trigicon. And this is going to be an Irby Street. They talked me into a Trigicon. I wanted to do Leopold again. And I went with a Trigicon. Holy mackerel. Like, I was starting to worry about going past sunset. It was so clear. Wow. And, so I made the decision, and I'm just going to tell you the truth. With tears in my eyes, I pulled the trigger, and literally with tears in my eyes. And he did not suffer.
Good.
They are. I mean, Mr. DNR over here. By the way, did we even mention that Tommy Buchanan from DNR?
No, you left.
Everybody knows
okay.
your voice.
That's all right. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows your
good.
voice. But I'm just going to say this much: that I don't think he suffered. I don't think he suffered long, and you know what? I'm excited, and I'm also going to get that skull mounted. And I had talked to Cassie, who is the young lady who she had started following him. I was sending pictures to Cannon, her boyfriend.
Weekly updates.
So with updates, so I told her that we're going to put on there Cassie and Inglis. We're gonna put both our names on the skull mount, but. It's a tough decision. It is. It's a tough decision, and I mean, ethics come into play.
They do.
And I told Lucas this goes back 5 weeks. I said, dude, is this not stupid? I'm sitting here worried about a deer that I want to survive, so that I can kill its genetics down the road, so I can shoot another. Because the genetics of this deer are pretty much that anything it produces is not going to have a brow tine.
Right.
So we know of one that's mounted that's from that genetics line. So and I'm like, is it weird that but at the same time, I don't want the deer suffering.
Yeah.
And so I decided to pull the trigger, and we're going to have some venison. We're going to have some gimpy sausage and gimpy hamburger.
That's the first thing. Don't name it.
How big is the spread?
I didn't measure it, but to me, I'll put it this: I put it up against the 8 and the 9 that I have in my garage that are my biggest, and it's taller.
Well, that's good.
It's taller. It's real tall.
Yeah.
I mean, real tall. And definitely, if I was Cassie, I would have pulled the trigger back in October on it. I would have if it came out. I mean, it's not going to have brow tine. I guess. Through genetics and other things, it's not going to have a brow tine. By the way, yes, you're getting a text from the one and only Ronald Stalvey.
Yeah.
Ronald is the only one in the inlet right now with live shrimp.
Really?
Yep. If you're looking for live shrimp, yes.
Yeah.
That man went crazy last night and make sure he had live shrimp.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
So he went and loaded up.
I think he's going to be open tomorrow too for a little bit.
Yeah, on Christmas Eve. He did say that he would be open at least until noon, right?
Well, him and I have coordinated some stuff, but yeah, we're going to be there.
Oh, you're going to be there too?
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Oh, it's a party in the making.
There is. Listen, it is a party up over there when he shows up.
It's fun.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Well, he had them lined up over there getting shrimp this morning when we were there.
Wow. And
they look good. They're good. They're good Merle's Inlet shrimp. They're about that big. I mean, what are they eating in Merle's Inlet right now, Chris? Are they eating shrimp from Georgia, or are they eating Merle's Inlet shrimp?
I think they're going to eat anything. that Merle's Inlet shrimp will do just fine.
Man, we got a lot to talk about, too. We go back to the trout tournament. We got to talk about the trout tournament. And congratulations, Captain Jimmy and crew. Unbelievable 2 fish. And,
I never would have guessed that.
So the story... I wouldn't have either.
The size.
So the story is that those were caught pretty much back to back,
Yes.
and they were caught really early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
really early. And no, if you don't know Captain Jimmy, if he catches 2 big fish early, it's going to be a long day for somebody.
That's all they caught. That's all they fished for.
Wow.
Those 2 bites. You know what they did the rest of the tournament?
What? Drove around.
Drove around the inlet.
Yep. Well, I'm going to tell you, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Well, how would you not? I would have been at Dead Dog getting breakfast.
What was the big fish?
8.7? 8.7 or 8.9?
Speckled trout.
Whew.
That is a lifetime fish.
That's
Yeah.
a monster.
All right, and I'm going to tell you, the 6.5 that went with it is no slouch.
No.
Most people will never catch a 6-pound trout.
No.
They will not.
Little than that, almost a 9-pound trout in 4 foot of water.
Yep.
Gee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, there's no chance of getting in that spot to fish anymore, by the way, because somebody is playing Lock It Up.
Everybody. I watch all social media, and you can tell.
Wow. You know, I had this conversation yesterday with a good friend of Merle's Inlet Fishing Charters, and he said, I don't think that Jason's guys would go sit there and catch multiple fish sitting there. I think they would catch some and leave. And I know we've had this discussion. I think y'all would. I think the person that realizes what they're catching there are a school of breeder fish.
Yeah. And
If that school is breeder fish.
They are. I mean, look at the size of them. Look at the weight. That fish was almost 9 pounds. And
That
only
fish's head was as
28
big as
and a half
mine.
inches. That fish should have been over 30.
Yep. Well, there comes here we are with ethics again. There comes a time.
Ethics is the
you
main
know,
thing.
David Plaid and Release Over 20, a great philosophy, great group. You know, those fish are the spawners.
They are.
And
How about
listen.
his day?
yeah,
Look at his on artificial.
on artificial. He won flounder and second in the overall, and that was on one fish, right?
Yeah.
5.6 or 5 something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he beat
and
it.
trust me, I spoke with him that evening, and he was super happy.
Oh, he should be too. I mean,
Yeah.
what on just on artificial?
Uh-huh.
All of us, everybody else was fishing live bait.
Now, we all love his jigs. I strike jigs.
All the time.
A lot of us fish them. I've been using them, and he still can't believe it. But those, our biggest fish that we caught in both, our 2 biggest king mackerel this year, came on an ice strike
The secret's
red
out.
jig. Secret's out.
You sent me the picture. I know.
Yep. Came out on an ice, and he just can't believe it.
Yeah.
And he said, I told you early on not to try it. He said, I'm worried that it'll be. It held up.
Never
It was
did.
the only hook, and I wish Tony was here. It was
That's
the only
amazing.
hook left in the 40-pounder that we got. It was the only hook left in that fish, and it had no bend to it.
No, they
We need to go to breaking.
Okay, we'll go to break. All right, let's do it. We'll go to break. Hey, listen, y'all, we're at Waccamaw Outfitters. Come on, right down here. Matt, tell them how to get here.
4 Elm Street, downtown Conway at the Conway Marina.
It's easy to get to.
Easy
dude.
peasy.
It's
Do I need to
easy.
turn my lights on to let them know?
Yeah, we'll turn your lights on.
Yeah.
No, you've already given me a heart attack this morning. All right. Well, listen, we'll be right back on the other side of the break. Y'all come to Waccamaw Outfitters. We're getting ready to start giving away some stuff here. Hey, don't go anywhere. It's the Southern Anglers Radio Show here on Gator 107.9.
And the Freedom Boat Club, where your boat is waiting.
And by Monarch Group, and where Bert is not here, and we wish he was.
Listen,
hey,
Bert, if you're listening, I still want my golf balls
oh, you know, have you all seen the stories about those golf balls? So
all over.
have you seen it? So you
No.
know the deal. So
No.
his phone number's on there. So if you find the golf ball and you call Bert, you get a sleeve of golf balls
no way.
With
So-
his face
with
on
his face on it. So he has had this week was like somewhere in Georgia, maybe.
Yeah.
Yep, somewhere in Savannah, I think, and then Charleston.
That's pretty cool.
Golf balls turned in. Yeah. So, you know, I would be scared. Like back in the day, I wouldn't have worried about it, but I would be scared to have that on my ball, on my balls, on my golf balls.
Are you a golfer? Fred, are you a golfer?
No,
No?
no.
Fred, you don't play golf.
We'd have to get out.
No, because there came a day where it was either golf or fish.
It's true.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be any good at either one, then you're going to commit to one, and I sold the club.
You know what? I was there.
move.
I was there with you once. I was on the golf side, and then decided I was tired of chasing my golf ball in the water. I felt like there was something that would be more lucrative in that water
Yeah, you're already in the water
than
anyway.
a golf ball. Yeah.
I see a
And-
bunch of people over here. We got people in now.
Yeah, we do. We got people in there over there doing some shopping, and that's
Look at
right.
that.
Hey, knock out that Christmas list. I mean, who wants to go shopping on Christmas Eve?
Not me.
Yeah.
I'm going to, though.
This may be the first year. This may be the first year that I do not have to shop on Christmas Eve, and thanks to my wife for being so prepared. But yes, no shopping on Christmas Eve for this guy. But you can come down here and knock out some lists. Knock out your list. Find something for that loved one of yours.
They got they got these. I was walking around looking. They got these knives, these great knives right
Let
here.
me see that.
Less than $10.
Paraport.
Yeah,
Look at that thing.
I like the T-shirts. They got the
Look at that.
Blackwater Therapy.
Yep, the Blackwater
Yeah.
Therapy. Yes.
Yeah, that stuff's kind of cool. I mean, if you live over here in Conway, or you guys are, big time in the Redwater stuff, I call it Redwater.
All right.
They're cool looking stuff. Be great for them.
And I've been look. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna put Sarge on the spot if he doesn't show up. And he's right now. He's texting me with excuses. He's working.
Oh,
Uh huh.
Yeah, right. I got him this cool thing. Tell me what this is, because this is the kind of stuff that people like. What is
That is. All right, so I have one of those. It's called Chill and Reel. That is a koozie that you can also fish with. It is rigged up with a fishing line leader.
For a hand line.
And for a hand line, it's got a weight on it. It comes with hooks.
Yep.
And you can stand in the water and fish. You imagine Sandy Island or Redneck Beach in the Black River,
Anywhere.
Why not?
That's the old school yo-yo reel.
Yeah, why not throw out a rig?
I saw Matt has toadfish.
That's
stuff.
not Matt. That is Captain River Rat.
Captain River. Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry.
Y'all
Hey,
got
by
that.
the way, I screwed that up earlier, too.
Yeah, you did.
Captain River Rat is in the house.
Captain River Rat. All right. Well, Captain River Rat. He's got a bunch of toadfish stuff. He's got these. What are they? Thole coolers. The dry
Yes.
bag slash.
Yeah.
I mean, that is awesome stuff.
Yep.
And that stuff you're probably not going to go find in a lot of these places you're going to. You can go to Tanger. I doubt you're going to find this stuff.
Nope.
I'm
But-
glad my wife's not listening. I know she's not, because you may have just nailed one of my last minute gifts.
Thank you. Okay.
I get in so much trouble because she gets mad because I put fish in her cooler accidentally, like half the
Yes,
time.
sorry, darling.
But like, most of the time when I'm gifting fish to people, like if I clean them, then I need a small cooler to transport them in, and I don't want to use one of my big, nice K2s
Right.
or big frigs, so I'll normally grab whatever her little picnic
Sorry,
mama
darling.
cooler,
We all do it.
and then all of a sudden it goes up missing, and I can't remember where I put it. So
Did I clean it? Did I not clean it?
You know something?
we've had those cases.
That I was eyeing in here, and you would never think of this as a Christmas present, but you see those boat brushes right there?
Oh yeah.
Now, I can wear out a boat brush pretty quick, but that'd be a real nice gift for somebody that had a boat. He needs to wash that's a nice piece of gear right there.
Luke, that's a great idea. For Luke Barnador is here in the house, and for all you ladies out there, you may remember him from the football field. But Luke is here, and Luke is going to be mating at Merle's Inlet Fishing Charters next year. Luke, a brush is a great idea for you for Christmas.
Yeah, he'll be very familiar with that.
Well, we've been throwing we'll throw in the cleaner too.
You can start practicing.
But yeah,
right.
If you have a man that does a lot of boating and a lot of boat washing, his brush is probably worn out. That's a good idea right there.
You know what? My brush is worn out, too.
And so is mine.
That's why I love my new
What about now? I think something else is really cool that I like personally. These signs right here.
Yes, and
These are beautiful.
I agree. The Waccamaw River sign here on paneling, these things are beautiful. We do the 3D. We've done the 3D signs with our buddy Chuck, and very similar. But a great piece of art, great centerpiece to put in a man cave. Great, even in your house.
Yep.
The other thing behind it is something that's great. Batteries, boy.
Gotta have them.
Boy, I know you get tired of buying them.
It is 10 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain Chris of Carolina Hook and Fly. And
Daniel asked me for a battery for his boat for Christmas.
did he really?
Yeah.
That's a smart kid.
Yeah, he's not getting one.
That's thinking. That is good thinking. That's good thinking.
Santa stuff's too heavy for the sack. I'm not bringing you a battery.
That is good thinking.
Yeah.
But walking around here and seeing all.
Did you
this-
notice the artwork over here? Did anybody see the artwork that's over here?
Yes, those are the pictures you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
I mean, there is so many different things you can find in here. And again, a lot of people may have not been here. We're at Waccamaw Outfitters. What's that, 4 Elm Street? Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Just come to Conway Marina.
Come to Conway Marina. You can't miss it. You'll
Look
see.
for the 2-story building.
Look for the 2-story building, the Trilogy truck, and the DNR car, which that DNR car, you can't really tell the DNR
That's
car.
right. Yeah, he's sneaky with that one.
Oh, yeah.
That black one. There.
But his lights work really good.
They
and,
do.
and so does the siren.
The siren, yes.
In your mirror.
Yep, and so does the siren. Well, I'll tell you what, Fred, what's happening down south? Give us a fishing report from down south.
I haven't really been, and I hadn't been really excited to go either because of all the rain we got, and the rivers are still up. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been out to go look and see what the water conditions are either. I talked to some guys from WDU, and they were asking me about going to harvest oysters, and I'm like, if it ain't clean and green, I wouldn't be picking anything up right now. So even the guys that traditionally this time of year would be out trying to get oysters for Christmas and New Year's, might better be careful doing that. So I haven't been looking, and I hadn't had a drone opportunity to go hunt these fish down either. But if this water's off, I don't know. I was thinking about that this week. You know, we talked a lot about the drones. I'm not sure that would help you if this water's all tanned off and you can't really see through it. You're back to the old school, man. You're back to every creek looking for them instead of flying them. You're going to have to go in there and look for them.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I took the drone with me duck hunting this week. I got suckered into a duck hunt. Now, I'm just kidding. I didn't get suckered. It's always a pleasure to take McClure Hopkins to do anything, my fishing partner, and soon-to-be former youth angler. He's got 3 months left, but he wanted to go duck hunting. He's never been down south, and so Jonathan Stevens from Livewire invited us to join him, and we left at the I don't know if you call it I don't know if we left late Tuesday or early Wednesday, but anyway, we left at 2 in the morning.
Right, yeah.
That's about right.
You're over 30, E. Guess what? That don't compute anymore, bud. My boys met up at 2:30 this morning to go do game management property for ducks this morning.
Oh, good.
2 hours away from the house, meeting at 2:30 to walk in.
Oh, wow.
It's
to walk in.
Yeah,
Well,
walk in with waiters.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this much. The best part of the whole day, well, we had a fire for 3.5 hours. We just started a big fire, and we stayed warm.
You got to be really mad at it.
Yes, and I'm not that mad at it.
Yeah.
But I kept saying, all right, McClure's having fun. McClure's having fun. But I did fly the drone after about 2.5 hours of not seeing a duck. I did fly the drone up, and not to go scare up game or harass the animals, which is illegal, by the way.
Illegal.
For any of you drone owners out there that are thinking, oh, I'm going to fly it into Annandale or Kinlaw, and I'm going to scare the birds up and get them flying, that's not what a drone's for.
Don't get caught.
Anyway, I was not near any of those impoundments, but I did want to see where we were. Where we were is an area that now has been noted as an Indian burial ground.
Is this down Santee?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So we are what I thought was amongst some middens. Let me say that correct, middens.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see it from the air. So I flew it up, and the footage is absolutely incredible. And you and I have experienced middens together. You showed one in North Inlet to me. And these middens that we were around, Stephen, Senator Goldfinch is an expert at this stuff, and he loves all that history and everything. He is not positive that they were mittens, but they could have been something else. But when you're talking about in the middle of this rice field area, in the middle of nothing, and then you've got these clumps of green grass that are all perfect I call it a comma. They look like a comma. Perfect.
And it's
perfect.
shut.
And they're all evenly spaced out. And it's crazy.
It's not by accident.
Not by accident.
Yeah, and they're kind of that way in North Inlet, too. The way they're spaced out. And for folks who don't know what a midden is.
So what is it? It was designed, the Indians came up with it, and it was a tidal fish trap, correct?
Well, the theories are that the loose translation for midden is the dump.
Okay.
So it for whatever reason, and I maybe Stephen's better at it, knows more about it than me, but they would dumped the oyster shells in the same spot repeatedly over years, and as the guys have gone through and studied the different layers and stuff, they can date it by the pottery they find mixed in with the shells. And it goes back thousands of years that they were putting oyster shells on the exact same spot for centuries.
Yep.
Why they were doing that, I don't know. I don't know if it was to give them a higher advantage to see, or it was an easy place to dump the oyster shells after they had dinner. I don't know, but there's places all up and down the South Carolina coast where you'll see the middens. So if you just see a pile of white oysters out in the middle of nowhere, you got to wonder how that got there. It's probably the Indians.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And where we were within a quarter mile of where Jay and Kelly found the Indian body, the bones.
Right.
Which now have been, it's been you call it certified, verified, or whatever, but yes, they were Indian bones, hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
And that there are others in that same area, and they were collecting pottery, and she reached down to grab a piece of pottery, and there was an arm.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
There was an arm there. So, so it's crazy. But, you think about the rice fields down there, and anybody that has read about the history of the Santee Delta, the rice fields and the rice plantations and everything else, and in duck hunting. It was at one point in time the mecca for duck hunting in the southeast.
Yeah, Baruch was, up to his ears in that too.
Yep.
I've seen if you ever been to the up in Cherokee where they have the village,
yep.
The ladies there, I saw a lady one day, I was up there, she was stringing periwinkle shells into a necklace, and they were all bleached out and they were white. And I asked her, I said, do you know what those are? And she said no. And I, got into talking about periwinkles. And she said, back in time that the coastal tribes would trade with the mountain tribes, and one of the things that they used was those shells. I said, you have no idea how many periwinkles they are. But it was pretty interesting to see her stringing them up in the mountains in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Having periwinkles, which we know where they come from, and the ones you see in the grass. So, there's a lot of history with been here a long time.
Have you ever got out the boat, Captain Chris, and waited for reds?
Yeah.
Have you ever got a periwinkle in your shoe?
Oh, yeah. It'll cut you.
They are a pain in the butt.
You will stop walking.
You will stop walking.
Yeah, you will.
You will stop walking. They make it miserable, man.
Oh,
They really can get it. They can get you going.
Yeah, something's gonna change.
Get them all over your trim tabs, everything.
Well,
pulling through
I tell you what, the crowd is growing, and I see Cody Wilder's dad, David, is here now. Isn't that nice to be known as Cody's dad, David? I see David is in the house. Cody, unfortunately, is not in town. He's out of town, but that is one of our. I just want to. We love Cody. Obviously, he's one of our favorite bass fishermen and a Conway Tiger angler out here. And so we're gonna take a break. Jenna, you ready? Let's take another break here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, no. Give me 10 seconds.
All right, I'll give you 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, y'all, come out. Listen, we got great gifts, great giveaways. Come down, pick up that last-minute gift, and get registered to win up to a turtle box. We've got $50 gift cards. How we gonna? We got to figure out the gift card thing.
We got what?
We got to figure out the $50 gift card
We
to
do.
here.
Oh, yeah. We got to figure that out.
Right now in 10 seconds when we get off. And
First person that shows up and asks for a $50 gift card to Waccamaw Outfitters, they come find me or you, they're going to get it.
Wow, did anybody hear that? All right,
heard
listen, if you're driving
was
around,
easy.
if
I'm
you're
ready.
driving around, come to Waccamaw Outfitters right now. Come find me or Tommy and ask,
Dog
say,
gift
hey,
card.
there you go. We got two. And so the next two people.
That's
people,
fine.
Next
Whatever
two
works.
people, the first two people to show up. All right.
That aren't here now.
That aren't here
come through the
now.
door.
Right.
That aren't here
Yeah.
now.
And we're getting
Walk
a crowd,
up
so.
and ask us. Let's do it. I love it. All right, y'all. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. This is the Southern English Radio Show on the Gator 107.9. All right, fish heads. We're back here on the Southern English Radio Show, coming to you live via the Toyota Tundra Studio, presented by Sparks Toyota, where the dealer's always in.
Oh,
Hang on.
supposed to pick it up.
Hang on. We're missing Chris. Hang on. And by Key West,
Key West
Boats
Boats and Marshall's Marine, where every day is a boat show.
Every day. And Freedom Boat Club, where your boat is waiting.
Hey, at Monarch Roofing, and look at that space. See that big blank space in there?
Gosh.
Okay, in the world of radio,
That's a no-go.
that you don't want that.
Negative.
Matt the River Rat was not prepared. We did not give him fair warning, so
Watch him Russ.
he's busy, and he's watching Russ. And by the way, Mr. Luke is a ladies out there. So just so you know, Luke is already training for being a great daddy and babysitter. He's doing great over there.
God.
Look at mom
Come
giving
on, no.
mom saying no. All right, listen, real quick. Blossom and Gas, our good partners up there on the north end, want to make sure that you have a great time in your backyard this spring and summer. And we do have a very busy man on the phone. That's Jesse Long of Blossman. Jesse, thank you for joining us this morning. I know you're really busy watching that hog cook, aren't you?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, been up since 5:30. Had him on going.
Well, now, how many people you got to feed? And are you cooking one or two, multiple?
I'm just picking one. We got about 20 people coming over, I think.
And how big would said hog be?
85 pounds. Hopefully that'll
That's
roll
pretty
around.
good. Pretty decent
That's a
size.
pretty good
nice.
size. That's a pretty good size.
That's really.
And when supper ready?
Yeah, when
Oh,
supper
we'll be here
ready.
about 4.
4, okay.
Be here about 4.
All right, so are you cooking that thing on one of your brand of smokers, or do y'all have something? Did you have to get something a little bit bigger for that? I know I'm
Yeah,
setting
I've got
myself
a,
up here, but
Got a pig cooker that Blossman owns that we actually lease out. So I've got it here at home this weekend using it.
oh, that's a great idea. That is a great idea. But we've got Shep with us now. You remember Shep Richard from the big cookout that we had. Oh, well, excuse me, it was the grand reopening of Blossman, and Shep's here in the studio. Let's talk about some of the great grills. It has Christmas, obviously. Is grills like a popular Christmas item? I'm asking.
I would love one.
It is. I mean, we kind of marked some things down, run a few sales, and definitely the Wilmington Grill was a good seller for us. And Coyotes, Blaze, all the above. Napoleon sold several this time of year. So and the grill accessories is a big hit with the big green egg as well.
Well, I do have plans over the next 2 weeks to experiment with a couple new things on my Wilmington Grill. And thanks to you and Wilmington Grill and Blossman, I have a wonderful new griddle top. But it took me 11 years to learn that I can actually steam or smoke in my Wilmington Grill.
Oh, no.
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, prior to you getting me the accessories that I needed, again, the only thing that I've had in 12 years go out is that the what was it? The teeth on the connector for my faucet or my on my little whatever you call it down there to I can now lock fluid in so I can
Okay.
fill it with
Yeah.
water. And Shep, I want you to so I can fill it with something to add flavoring into a smoke. Into a steam.
Yeah, exactly.
To cook in.
Yeah, because it's actually the same thing when you think about it.
Right.
A smoker from a grill, you're still using heat.
Right.
To heat the unit.
Yep.
Right. There's water in a smoker.
Right.
And you're throwing the chips in, however way that particular model is.
Right.
You know, whether it's a pellet or whatever, you're doing the same thing. So all you're doing is sort of manipulating the kind of unit that you have.
So, what about a roast from a venison? Would that be something that would a deer roast? Would that be something you would smoke?
Absolutely.
Jesse, you ever done that? Jesse's a deer hunter too. Have
Oh,
you ever
yeah.
done that?
Oh yeah, I have. I'll take a ham and of course wrap it in bacon, peppers, onions, and let it smoke.
Yeah, you
hardly
can't go
beat it.
wrong there.
What is a good what's something good? Now I've read on Wilmington Grill's website different things. Apple juice is something that's really big. Apple cider, I
Right.
think, and some
Apple
other
cider
things.
vinegar, yeah.
Wine, I guess, is something that's good. What's another good seasoning to add to the water to add flavor in your cook?
Well, like you said,
I
wine.
stick with apple cider vinegar all the time.
Yeah, and
I
or
just stick with that.
or a real heavy red wine. You want the most flavor in something like that because it's not going to be a direct. You're not flavoring the.
You're not flavoring the meat,
right.
Yeah.
You're flavoring the
just,
smoke.
Just the smoke.
Yeah.
That sounds perfect. Now, another popular grill out there in this world is green eggs, And the key to a green egg, I think, a lot of times is the accessories that you have to go with it, because it can do so many things. You've got, last time I saw, you have a ton of accessories up there of almost every option you need.
Yeah, from the new pizza wedge. I mean, that's a big hit this time of year when the egg come out with. So the pizza wedge is pretty cool. All these high-dollar pizza ovens you have, and if you got an egg right now, you can definitely convert it into a pizza oven for sure.
And
It's pretty fun to cook with. And
who wouldn't want a nice homemade, I mean, basically brick oven? That's what it is. I mean, it performs as a brick oven pizza.
Yeah.
Chef's over
Yeah,
here
that's exactly
smiling.
right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jesse, I got to eat the chef's cooking last week for the first time ever. And there is a reason that he cooked for so many stars, and that a couple of them kept him around for so long. It's
yeah,
unbelievable.
we need to figure something out about that to get him back, and let's do something at Blossman.
I
would be
agree.
great.
I think it's a great. I think that's a great idea, Chef.
I would love it.
And and definitely he is open to that. We've already actually had some discussion on some other things and doing that as well. And you know, that might be a great place to do it. But we talked about having kind of like a ladies. I don't want to call it a ladies thing, because the men probably need to learn as much. But we were talking about having a cooking seminar.
Right.
Like we do fishing seminars all the time, but having a cooking seminar with wild game and fish.
Yeah, I do private cooking demos all the time. More
Yep.
people hire me to come in, maximum of 8 people, so it stays real. It's small,
Right.
right, and it's great because I can talk with the
Each individual, and it's more. I'm having the same trouble you are with getting that word. I know.
Intimate.
I know there's a word.
It's intimate.
Yes, intimate.
It's intimate, and I love that because I'll do 4 or 5 dishes right in front of them.
Yep.
2.5 hours, and I talk all about what it was like to work up close and personal in the kitchens of Hollywood's A-list.
Right.
Wow. and it's very interesting because it translates to the guest a lot easier than it would if it's if it's say a restaurant.
I think he brought enough.
Yep. I think he brought enough.
I'd like to.
Well,
learn
I'll tell you
some
what. I'm super excited to try. I think that once we do I think we do one.
Right.
I do think that you're going to get a big demand for
Yeah,
it.
and I love doing it.
I do, and I think, man, Jesse, we might have come on with something. That might be a good idea for,
Who doesn't like cooking and eating?
Yes,
I mean, that's
exactly.
my favorite thing to do.
And people
Other than fishing.
people that I do this for, they relate to me more than, say, if it was a restaurant chef. Because what they realize in a very short period of time is, even though I work for who I did, I still do the same thing that everybody else does. I wake up in the morning and I say, okay, what am I cooking today?
Yeah.
Right.
Where am I going to shop? Who doesn't eat this? Who eats that? And then I cook, I serve, I clean up. Right?
Yep,
I do the same thing that everybody at home does. So I've got all kinds of techniques to pass on to home cooks that I've been told a gazillion times that, wow, we learned so much from this, how to shop for
Yes.
I could do a whole seminar on shopping, getting in and out of grocery stores, getting the best quality of stuff with the least amount of stress, and you're on your way.
I'd love that because at my house, my youngest son Lane, when he wakes up, the first thing he says is, "What's for supper?"
What's for supper?
Exactly.
So my wife has a menu on the wall, so he don't have to ask anymore.
You and I don't have the luxury of cooking off the same menu every night. I opened an upscale wood-fired pizzeria in Los Angeles after I stopped being a private chef, and people were coming to me saying, "Boy, this must be killing you compared to working for." I said, I cook off the same menu every
night.
It is so freaking easy.
Yep.
But you and I, we don't have that luxury. Got to come up with stuff all the time.
All the time. And that's my problem, coming up with something new. We're tired of chicken. We're tired. We want something different. My boys, they're avid hunters and they're killing deer, and I've got freezer full of venison, and I'd love to have new recipes for that.
Yeah.
Because when I cook it in the oven, it dries out so bad it's like jerky.
Yeah.
So I'd like to learn how to cook that stuff.
You need to make sure you pick up the Trilogy Outdoors magazine every month, and everybody does, and check out that recipe that the chef is sharing with us each month.
Yes.
He put a really good venison menu recipe in there.
Yeah.
A couple months ago.
When I was working for Mel Gibson, I was very lucky. They had 7 kids, right? And kids are always the toughest to please, right? But they were the most open-minded about anything I wanted to do. And I'll just give you a quick story. Prior to that, every celebrity that I interviewed with, they all said the same thing. Every single one of them. We like everything until the first day that you start. And then you get this dossier of, well, this one's vegan, this one's vegetarian, this one will only eat fish on Thursdays, and it becomes a real house. But with Mel Gibson, it was whatever you want to do. His wife said to me in the beginning that I was her only luxury, that she didn't have to think about what she was going to cook that day.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, and
That's a compliment.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's often why you're hired as a private chef.
Well, we're going to help you cooking, and we're going to help you out by putting you right on the grill, and that's going to be going up and visiting Jesse at any of the Blossman location. Jesse, you guys are, let's see, you're going to be probably closed Christmas, obviously. What's your schedule for the rest of the year after that? Normal schedule?
Just closed Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
Wonderful.
The rest. Regular
Wonderful.
hours.
Well, y'all deserve it, buddy. Y'all deserve it. And
Yeah, it's been we've had some actually cool weather this winter and fall, so it's been good for us for business, and well, hopefully it continues.
well, that's great. And how about the bass fishing for Jesse Long? You're going to be doing some bass fishing.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. It's my favorite time of the year to go fishing, of course, when the cold weather's out, no jet skis and all that good stuff. And I'd much rather be wearing a cold suit fishing any day than shorts.
Well, are you signed up for the 6-man tournaments for the year? Are you going to do
Well,
that
we're
again?
fishing,
The
always
team?
fish Swamp Fox, of course, and then me and my partner's fishing the South Carolina Bass Team Trail again
Right.
this year.
Team trail. That's it.
Yep.
Well, I got a man sitting beside me here that's got a little bit of a pretty cool schedule coming up this year, and that would be JT Thompkins has finally come into the building here, and we're going to have him on in the next segment. But I know you probably like to wish him well with him being a local boy.
Treat, every weekend angler dreams of. I know I'll probably sell propane the rest of my life and just fish for fun. But congratulations to JT. That's super. You definitely can tell he's dedicated and puts his time in, and it has definitely rewarded him.
Exactly. I think without a doubt we all agree. Anybody that knows JT in the least bit knows that he is dedicated to his job. And when you're going to be a professional at anything, I mean, I'm going back to golf myself. I didn't have the dedication that I needed back then. I may have had the talent, but not the dedication. And JT's got the dedication, and we're looking forward to a great year out of him coming up and following him on the Elite Series. And, Jesse, I look forward to watching you fish this year. You actually, dude, at the end of the day, you really do pretty dang good yourself in bass fishing for a
I just enjoy it.
for a part-time guy. Well, you got to enjoy it. I mean, who else wants to go out there and run around in a 70 miles an hour?
Addiction, so I'm sure JT can vouch for that, and you as well, English. But everybody's got to have something to do, and it's that thing you look forward to doing every weekend.
That's it. All right, folks. Well, listen, y'all go up and see Jesse at Blossman Gas. And don't forget, hey, all those generators you need. And we got lucky this year, once again, through hurricane season, not to lose power for any significant amount of time. But there were a lot of people that were safe and comfortable knowing that they had backup. And that is all thanks to Blossman Gas. And y'all can call them, have them come out. They'll give you a free estimate and set you up with the peace of mind to know that you're not going to lose all that venison and everything else in your freezer when the power goes out.
Yes.
Kevin, stop.
All right, we got a one more question out of the chef here.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, I don't endorse just because.
Right.
And I was blown away by Blossman's.
Yeah.
I mean, they have even, they got entry level all the way up to high end equipment, but even the entry level stuff was excellent quality. I was very, very impressed with
that. Is the truth. And
we
go ahead,
things
Jesse.
you don't find at the big box stores. Kind of your forever grills and
right.
and the products, other products we sell as well. So
And the staff was just so friendly, just blew me away.
Yeah, they are. Jesse's okay, but Miss Trudy, she is the bomb. I'm just kidding, Jesse.
she's our backbone. She's our backbone.
She is your backbone. Well, listen, man, I hope, wishing you and the Long family and all the Blossman family a Merry Christmas. And thank you so much for taking the time out from watching that hog cook to join us.
There you go. You guys, I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
All right, buddy, you too.
See you at 4 o'clock.
All right, we're going to see how this works.
Yep.
We're going to see when Jesse hangs up if we lose Jenna. Let's see how that works. All right.
Here we go.
I hope so.
All right, buddy. All right, Jesse's gone and Jenna's still there, I think.
Yes, I am.
All right, perfect. All right, wonderful. Well, JT Thompkins has made it into the building, and let's see, we are at 1/4 after, and Sergeant Pardue is here. I believe he was shamed into coming.
There goes the
Well,
neighborhood.
you know,
Sarge,
the thing
are you
is no.
Yeah, as Sarge
Work.
says, some of us have to work this morning.
Work. So underrated.
It is
Overrated.
it is overrated.
Overrated, underrated. You know what I think he's here for, though?
What's that?
He knew we got biscuits.
$50 gift card.
Oh,
And by the way, and a biscuit.
and the biscuit. Hey, Jordan, you hungry, JT? Are you hungry? All right, if you're hungry, grab a biscuit. Listen, so here's the deal. JT's got those FX custom rods here. You got to come check them out. We're going to get him on in the next segment and let him sit in and do a whole segment with him. We'll talk about how his life has changed now.
Those are sweet.
And it's changed in a significant way. I know you can go ahead and put the headphone on now. We'll talk a little bit right now. We got some time, but I know life has changed a little bit. You typically right now, would you not be traveling and fishing?
Well, the last few years, a lot of stuff's been changing with everything, with sponsors and everything. So it takes a long time to get a boat because you're trying to work out deals, and it takes a lot of companies. They don't get their budgets till right around October, so then you still got to work them out. So it takes about a month. And then once you order the boat, it takes some time. So the last 2 years, I've been trying to find where my home's at, and this year I finally fell in on a Yamaha Skeeter combo from Marshall's Marine. So now that I'm with those guys, it's going to be a long-term relationship with those. So now this is my first year. With them, so it took some time to get everything in order. But after that, next year, be ordering my boats a lot sooner, getting on the water a lot earlier, and, back in my normal rhythm once I get used to everything.
And go ahead.
This is a weird question, I know, but do you guys have agents? I mean, how do you find those sponsors and things like that?
So a lot of people do have agents, like a lot of people that I listen to, on the Pro Series. But I don't have an agent. I'm very new to the sport, and I'm just trying to learn how to navigate it myself a little bit. So that way, maybe in the future that I do get a agent, I still understand how to do it on my own or how to handle a lot of the conversations that I have. But this year's definitely been a learning curve. It's probably been the most difficult part of the job that I've ever had. Was this year learning how to talk to sponsors, learning how to present yourself, learning how to present them, and learning how to educate yourself on everything, because not only do you have your job of bass fishing, you also have to have the job of understanding everything about your sponsors that you represent, so you can represent to the best of your abilities. So, and then you have to learn all that about every company you're going after, and also all the companies that you have.
Yeah.
So it's been a large influx of information for me, to process over the last little while.
Because you got to do research on what
Exactly.
I think what you're talking about. You got to do research before you even go to them. You really honestly need to already act like, you already need to be educated on all of their products, on their service, whatever, before you go to them. And then obviously if you pick them up and you start representing them, you almost you are an employee.
Exactly. You're a full-time employee to these guys. You got to represent to the best of your abilities. But this year, I've been super lucky that a lot of the companies that I have are companies that I've already worked with for years. So I really had to do a lot of research. But you still got to branch out, look for a lot of other things, because this is a sport that costs a lot of money, and it's hard to do this sport without it. And so I got to go out there and I got to make a living as well. But I have been lucky. A lot of these companies that I work with this year, Yamamoto Baits is one that I'm representing, and I love those baits. I've been using them my whole entire career. They've been a big staple of my career. Skeeter Yamaha, I know all about them. I've been surrounded by them since a very young age. A lot of my best friends on the tour, they run them. FX custom rods, I've used them. They're, in my opinion, probably the best rods I ever put in my hand for the price. And I also believe in the people. That's another big part about sponsors that I believe in, is the people that are behind it. And when I get on the phone with people, usually I can tell if I want to be with them in the first 5 minutes. And Also, whenever you go on their pages and you see a lot of local people supporting them, and you see a lot of stuff like that, that's how all my sponsors have been. Like, everybody loves them in their local area. Fish USA, you know, when I posted the video, I got an influx of people coming to me and saying, hey, you made a right decision. You know, they do a lot of help around locally. They help a lot of anglers. And that's what I'm looking for, is companies that aren't, you know, they're willing to help a lot of other people around them and not just themselves. And those are the people I'm trying to surround myself with. And I've really enjoyed this year, you know, getting with these companies that I have. So
That's awesome. He's a little mature, isn't he, for a 21-year-old?
Wow. I was, you know,
I did a podcast with him. Well, of course, we've been friends for a while, but I did a podcast with him, and like the whole podcast, you hear me going, "Wow,
yeah,
wow!" Like he's answering questions, and I'm like, "Wow." And then I watched Dave Mercer sat with him, or did a podcast with him and the other 8, right, the 9 of them that made it, and of course he saves the best for last.
Yeah.
I think he went in order, didn't he? Like how they finished.
Yeah, he went from 9th to 1st.
Yeah, from 9th to 1st, and then of course he ends with him, and I could tell Dave was the same way. Dave was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
And he had some good questions, and I told JT I would have done the same thing. He asked him one question that he had to. He asked him for a question to ask his next guest. It's a new thing Dave's doing on his podcast. Where you get to give a question, you don't know who's going to be the next guest, and they have to. He has to come up with a question. And he did the same thing I did, or would have done. He couldn't come up with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't come up with anything. It was like, because it's such an important question. Like he makes it sound so important, which it is. And I was just like blown away. I was like, I really don't know what to ask. I was like, because he wants it to be like somewhat controversial, but also not controversial,
Yeah.
but like enough to get some entertainment out of it. And I was like, dude, I got nothing. I mean, I'll be honest, I ain't got anything for it.
You know, that was a great answer. I mean, these boats are like the race cars. You know, they got all these sponsors, and I know the race car guys, you know, they have their marketing teams and stuff.
Yeah,
like
they got
that.
teams.
But I never understood how, you know, you professional fishermen, you know, do that. If you have to go knocking on doors, or like you said, if you have an agent or not. And you said some guys do, but I tell you, learning your business, you know, the fishing aspect, of course, you've got that down. There's proof in the pudding there, but then you're learning the business aspect of it too. You know, and how to do that, and that's just awesome.
It is awesome, and I'll tell you one thing. I got to go with him this week to introduce his rods to our friends at Palmetto State Armory, and he did a great job.
Wow.
He did a great job for a man who's just been in sales for 3 months. I mean, 2 months. I mean, really. I mean, prior to that, your mentality was, I hate bass, and I'm going to try and catch every single bass I can. And now it's like, okay, I got to go learn all these businesses and talk to these people, and he believes in his rods. I can tell you that. He does believe in his rods, and you got a chance today to come out, and I want people to come out and pick these rods up and hold them, because I think you're going to be just as amazed as Captain Scott and Peyton were, because it was funny, because it was 10 minutes of our conversation that you had to call the owner of FX Customs and get Scott on the phone with him, because he's already talking about loading this boat with them.
Oh, yeah, they're impressive rods. Like, I've said it multiple times. Like, if you go in your tackle shop, you can grab any rod off the shelf, and I'll compare it right next to it. I'll put an $80 rod against a $500 rod. Like, it doesn't bother me at all to put them right next to each other, because I know what it's going to come out at every single time. I don't know how he does it for such a small. Well, I know how, because he's not a selfish guy. He wants to help anglers, and he's a guy that wants to help everyone around him, and that's why he puts such a cheap product out to the public that is so expensive to build.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's just a great guy. Bob at FX Rods, you know.
Bob, that's right, Bob.
I see who's lurking around that stack of rods over there. I hope you know how many you brought.
Hey, Luke, don't be grabbing any.
Don't be touching them things, man.
Luke, you see a couple you could backlash over there? Well, we're going to try and get JT out on the water here after the radio show and let him show us some of these rods in action. And we'll be here until 12 o'clock, so y'all come by. Remember, we've got some great giveaways, great contests, and we're kind of getting a little bit of a crowd in here now.
Oh, yeah, this is nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So, Tommy, how many gift cards of that deal did we give away before we go to break? Did we give away one?
One. Just
So-
one.
So
Still got one more.
the other offer still stands.
Other offer still stands, and we got a bucket of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a new one. You tell it.
Yep.
So
So
the bucket of stuff.
bucket of stuff. That's all you need to know. Just ask for the bucket of stuff.
So wait a minute. So we got a $50 gift card. All you got to do is come drive in.
That's
come
it.
walk up and ask for it. And we got a bucket of stuff.
Bucket of stuff. Good stuff.
Very good stuff.
So,
And we got a turtle box drawing at the.
Listen, it don't get any easier than that. You got 32 minutes to come stop in, and come in and purchase $25 or more. Get registered for the turtle box. So
Easy peasy.
it's easy peasy. All right. Well, we're going to go to break. We'll take one more break, and then we'll come back and talk some more, and we'll keep JT here, and we'll talk some more about some winter bass time tips for here. I know you can share that with us, okay? So on behalf of Matt the River Rat, see, I just love saying that now.
You got it. That's
All
what
right.
rolls off the
And
tongue.
Officer Green Jeans, Tommy Buchanan over there. Or I'm gonna start calling him Blue Lights, since that's all I get to see every time I see him. we're gonna go to break real quick, and we come back on the other side of the break. We'll be right here. Waccamaw Outfitters. Hey, this is the Southern English Radio Show on the Gator 107.9. All right, folks, welcome back to the Southern English Radio Show, coming to you live via the Toyota Tundra Studio, presented by Sparks Toyota, where the dealer's always in.
Marshall's Marine of Lake City and Georgetown, where every day is a boat show.
Every day!
Freedom Boat Club, where the boat is ready.
And the boat is waiting, and the boat is ready, and Monarch Roofing is ready to take care of all your roofing needs this winter. Come on, don't be frozen. Call our good friends at Monarch Roofing, get them to come by, free estimate, and get you set up and warm, keep you warm and safe for the winter. And we are back here at Waccamaw Outfitters. We are now down to the bucket, Tommy, right? We've got the bucket left. The bucket left. Listen, y'all, come on. You're driving by. I know you're right there on 544. You're driving through 501 right here in Conway. Just come drive down here. We're easy to get to. Ask JT. I got a text from JT. I can't find it.
Yeah, it had the old location in the
In
middle
the-
of
in the-
I was like, I know this is not right.
Yep.
I guess they maybe moved. I was like, there's
Yep.
no
Hey,
way.
bend that mic just a little bit towards your head. Toward your mouth.
Don't
There you
feel
go.
bad. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I went by there. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. He's over by the marina. The marina is not right here.
Yeah, I was about 100% sure. It was
So
a
that
different-
girl
Oh, it had the old Waccamaw
It
Outfitters.
does. Google Maps. If you go to that, if you go to the website, it's right. But
Hey,
we got to get him to
River
change his.
Rat needs to contact Google.
Yep.
Yep. You got to get that changed because you don't want that.
That girl's telling you not to go to the wrong place. Is what it is.
If you do,
She
go
can't be
to
wrong.
the website and get the directions from there.
Yeah, you got to Google. You got to. Yeah. So you need to reach out to them. Let them know.
So
That's for Russ.
that'll work.
That's for me on Russ. Where's Russ at?
He's right there. He's being good.
Russ, that's your new paddle. Daddy's got a paddle.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yep, Daddy's got a paddle.
Put a little heat on your fanny.
Hey, this time of the year can be really good bass fishing here. A lot of people, just like saltwater, Chris would tell you, a lot of people just put their boats up and they don't like to fish because of the weather, but bass fishing, it can be great. What are some good tips for somebody that is a local and may not even bass fish yet, but what are some good baits, good ideas for somewhere to start for somebody to go out and have a good chance of catching a bass here in the Waccamaw, Black River, PD, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, personally, like, I'd always just, usually this time of year, I'll lock about one bait in my hand. I just throw a chatterbait, and I put a Yamamoto Seiko on the back of it, and I throw that about the whole time. I usually don't even put it down. And then, if I ever get around certain things, if I got some brush or something off a point, I'll throw like a crankbait or something through it or a jig. But I keep it very simple this time of year, and I cover water because usually these fish will group up, and with the floods and everything going right now, so they're going to be moving. But once you find them, they're usually grouped up. So
What kind of retrieve are you doing?
Yeah, I was
the
about-
water's colder. Air temps are colder. Are you faster retrieve, slower retrieve?
really this time of year, I fish everything super fast. Like, it's just the way I've always fished. I fish extremely fast, and when you get around enough of them, they will bite, and then you can slow down. But
That was my question, the speed.
Yeah,
And that's just the opposite of what we do with reds.
exactly.
That's completely the opposite.
Yeah, they're lethargic. They're
Yeah,
just
slow, baby, slow. Real slow.
Yep, lifting the end of the rod just to make it move. Just,
Yeah, I mean-
just lift it and drag it.
Using heavier baits, light baits.
half-ounce chatterbait's about all I use, half-ounce jig, and if I'm flipping like anything, I'm usually quarter.
We're using 1/8 ounce Ned rigs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just super, super slow.
Yeah, I fish a lot different than a lot of people. It's just the way I've always fished. I mean, the thing is that I've learned if you're going to be around winning fish, you don't have to trick them. Like, you don't have to trick them if you get around the right ones. So when I get in the river, I'll get in areas that I know are more popular. Like,
Wait a minute. How do you know what is that place in the river? All right.
What are you
I
looking
don't
for?
bass fish, so yeah. Where am I going? You just said that, taking for granted that I know what that is, what that means. So tell me what that means.
It can mean a lot of different stuff. I mean, so you can either get around areas where there's boat ramps where, there's been a lot of release fish and just go around there and pick fish off, or you can go to areas that like a lot of times this time of year. I'll go to dead-end creeks, creeks that don't have an oxbow. There's not as much current. The fish don't have to fight as hard, and you can pick them off there. But where you're going to find those groups of fish at is getting on, like, areas where there's a lot of current and then just getting out of it. So if you're going down these creeks and you see one tree that sticks out a little bit further than the rest and there's, like, a big eddy behind it, there's always going to be fish behind that tree.
That's
like,
similar to redfish, which all fish actually don't want to fight the current. They're going to stand out of the current and eat in the current.
They're burning that energy sitting in the current.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, this time of year, when it gets to the right time, when it gets to dead low tide, I'll just go drive around and mark everything that, like, if you can, on dead low tide, if you can see with your eyes in the water and it looks good, it's good. Like, that's just what I've always done. I just drive around and look for stuff that looks right. Get in the bends, and wherever those bends turns and straightaways and you find a little bit of current, the last bit of current or the first bit of current hitting the curve or coming off the curve, and you find something there, that's usually where they're going to be. And that's where you're going to find your groups at. And that's always what I target. Like, I've always learned, like, back when I used to fish here a long time ago, I just fished down a bank and I'd pick them off all day. But now I just, fish a little bit slower, go down a single bank and pick them off. But
you
now,
rely on your electronics mainly?
In the river,
live soap, side.
You don't even use them, do you?
Like, when I'm in the river,
He's the man on that stuff.
I fished like Tuesday nighters and everything. I don't even turn on my graphs.
Yeah.
Like, in a river, there's no need for a single graph on a boat. Like, I don't even turn a single thing on. That's what I like doing. Like,
yeah,
if I get in the
absolutely.
river, like, live scope, it is definitely useful here. I've never done it yet.
It's the art of reading water.
Yeah, all river fishing is driving down a bank and being able to see it. Like, in visualizing how the bank, how steep, where the current's at, where it's at underneath the water that you can't see, and in visualizing. So, like, graphs aren't a big deal in this river. So, like, if you can go out there with 0 graphs on a boat, I've done it a bunch of times. Like, every single year when I get a boat, I usually have a trolling motor on it and no graphs. And I usually can go out there and have 30, 40, 50 fish days.
I think that's great because, a lot of the stuff, the newer generation is dependent on electronics. So any way to cheat it and the fact that you can do that without it.
It's like living your life in a 4-inch screen in your palm every day.
Yeah.
And you're very dependent on it, but yet what you just said is not dissimilar to what we do redfish.
Right.
You can go at low tide and pick out terrain and understand how the fish are going to orient. Same thing he just said. I would be lost in the river.
No, you wouldn't. And I'll tell you this.
Really
you really wouldn't be, because I'll tell you, when Tony took me under his wing and he started getting me hooked on bass fishing, which I can tell you, Fred, that once you get out there and do it, and once you start realizing what you're looking for, and once you feel that thump, if you feel that thump on a crankbait, or you feel that crankbait load up, it's really not a thump. It's more like you feeling that, and then all of a sudden becomes heavy.
Yeah.
Or that thump on a chatterbait. Chatterbait is a fun bait to fish, but once you feel it, and then once you realize that you're letting the fish tell you where they're at. Mm-hmm. I mean, as much as saltwater, I think in freshwater it's even more so. Is you're really truly gonna fish that first bank. For me, on the Tuesday and Thursday night deals, is I fish that first bank or the second bank, and if I've caught 2 fish, I let the fish tell me where they are. They're either going to be on grass or they're going to be on structure. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking summertime fishing, which this time of the year you're not going to find much grass, or if you do, it's underwater because it dies off in the winter, correct? But honestly, like the biggest key, I think, that once I learned, and it took me a year and a half really to get, is you've got to be an accurate caster.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing was
because if you do not hit that point where they want it, if you do not hit the spot that they want it, you're going to go past fish after fish after fish and not get bit.
Kind of like a tail and redfish. If you don't put it where it needs to be, guess what?
Exactly.
You don't get that bite.
Nope.
I'll tell you what'll scare you. You go out with some of these guys, and when you take the first frog to the chest, when they miss the hook set, it'll scare the crap out of you.
Well, Tony demonstrated that on my boat.
Yeah, we watched it.
Yep.
I mean, watch the fish eat the bait, and then was coming back to the boat.
Yep. Are you a frog fisherman? Do you do much?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you have to, especially like anywhere in the country where like the fish are set up shallow, a frog's just a hard bait to beat. That's why it's as big as it is, and it's because it's fun. I mean, I love in the river just picking up a frog and throwing it, and then, but like, I'm just like I don't have really favorite baits. It's whatever the fish are like, whatever I got to do to make it work.
Yep.
I'm happy doing. I mean,
Well,
if you're
but when you leave in the morning, you've got one tied on.
oh yeah,
You go. All right. You may not have a favorite bait, but you got to go to.
yeah, I got go-tos like a chatterbait's my number one bait. Probably used year round. That a jerk bait, maybe not in the river, but like anywhere I go in the country, a chatterbait is useful,
Gotcha.
especially in this river. Like I throw a chatterbait 365 days in this river. For some reason, they just like it. I don't know why. It's just something I've always thrown, something I love to pick up and just fish with.
How much in bass fishing? How much do you think is confidence in the angler? Bait confidence by the angler versus bait versus the fish really wanting that bait. I mean, you know what I mean. We all know the old saying: tackle is designed to catch the fisherman, not the fish. So, is it important that you find something that you like, you're comfortable with, and fish with confidence versus, you know, Chris went yesterday and killed him on a certain Yamamoto worm and this color that you don't use. I mean, do you go immediately buy a pack of them, or do you say, oh no, they're going to bite my bait too?
Yeah, so one thing I've learned throughout this year is that baits don't matter near as much in a lot of ways. Like, I don't know how many times, so I have this one partner, Tyler Williams, and I'd have to say he's probably the best jig fisherman in the country.
Who will also be on the Elite Series next year.
Yes, he will also be on the Elite Series, and he was my partner through a lot of the year. And he's probably one of the best jig fishermen of all time, and he makes fish bite it. It doesn't matter where he goes, he will catch them on a 3/4 ounce jig.
So is it more action or color this time of year?
So that's a hard question. I really don't believe in color very much. Like, that's just one thing I don't believe in. Like, black and blue, green, pumpkin, white, you about got it covered.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you're about as good as you're going to get. Peanut butter and jelly sometimes. If you're on fish.
I like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, like, that's a good color. And then, I mean, the thing is, only time I really like in our river, I genuinely don't think color matters that much.
Nope.
Like, there's very few, like, either green pumpkin or white.
I think that pink bubble gum that became so famous popular, I think it's because of us. I think the thing is we like to be able to see it sink and watch it get hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
White
Honestly.
bubblegum. I mean, there are times where color matters. Like if you go the Tuesday night or Thursday night or Saturday and you're catching them on the same bank, like if you catch them on Thursday on a black and then you go white, you know, on Saturday, and then on Tuesday you got to switch it up. Like if you're fishing for the same fish, color matters and action matters. But if you're actively searching for new fish, which is what you have to do to stay competitive, like color doesn't matter. Like I've learned that over this year. Like when you find everywhere I went this year, if I found a fresh group of fish that I know was found, it doesn't matter what you throw at them.
So the flash is what they're reacting to, not the color. On your chatterbait, it's the sound and then also the flash versus what color skirt you got on it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a combined a little bit of everything. The action, the sound, like you're saying.
It's a reaction bite.
Exactly, it's pure reaction. Like it doesn't a lot of times it don't matter if it's a swim jig or a chatterbait. It's whatever you have confidence in, and if it's coming by their face so fast. Here's the number one reason why I fish fast, and here's what I believe, and I think it's the number one reason why people should fish fast, is I would rather I'd not have to trick 10 fish in a day and get 5 bites. I'd rather blow a bait by 200 fish and force them to eat it. Because when you got a predator and you bring something like a cat.
You daring him to eat it.
Yeah, if you got.
How dare you?
Yeah, if you got a cat and you're just working it, moving a little thing super, super slow, yeah, he might paw at it. And then you might trick him a few times. But if you take and just swing it by his face, every single time it comes by his face super, super fast, he's going to snatch it, jump on it, attack it. Same thing with a bass. If I do that with 200 bass and just blow something by them super fast, I will get enough of them to trigger. And when they do trigger, they usually eat it.
Right.
Gotcha.
Compared to like a fish that you got to trick, and I just don't like that. It's not.
I'm glad I'm recording this.
It's tricking fish is not really my deal. I just love finding fresh groups. Now there are times I think it's a lot easier to trick a fish really than it is to blow baits by a lot of fish. Because there's been tournaments this year. If I don't figure out anything in practice, I'll just go to the most popular areas in a lake and just go pick it apart super slow because I know that's what I got to do to compete. That's what I got to do to stay alive.
You know what I love this year is your mom and I became your mom and I become friends since you came to the show 3 years ago when you won the Toyota Series event, and your mom and I were texting all year long, and I would text her before, how's he feeling? Because I don't want to bother you because I tried not to, but I know I texted you and blew you up a lot, but it was more complimentary than anything, and your mom would say, he's not on fish, or he's struggling. And he would finish second. He would finish second. He would finish ninth or whatever. And but going into it, I mean, the confidence makes a big difference when you blast off on day one.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's certain things that I don't know how much it plays. Like, there's confidence in certain things, but like, those tournaments that I wasn't on fish, like, I'll go over one that was a really big one for me. Is the tournament at Eufaula, Oklahoma was a tournament. I had the worst practice of my life. I mean, early in practice, I found him in one creek, but the thing was, a tournament a couple months ago was one out of that creek, like a really big one. It was a Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit.
So everybody
was in there. So it was really good the first 3 days, and then it was done after that. Done. And I remember the third day of practice, I was in there, and I was fishing. I was throwing a jig to these fish that were biting really easily before, and I'd throw it in the brush pile, I'd be pulling out, it would boom, and they would cut it loose. I was like, all right, if they're doing that now.
Educated fish. They're educated fish now,
yeah,
right?
if they're already doing that type of thing right now in 2 days, it's completely useless to even try. Like, I don't feel like throwing a jig now, and then first day of the tournament, got to throw a shaky head. Then the last day of the tournament, I got to wait 30 seconds to let a wacky rig sink down there to get a bite. So what I did, I said, I'm done. I scrapped my entire practice. Spent 3.5 days in one creek, scanned the whole entire thing out front to back, and I pulled the plug. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm done. I can't fish like that. And I went back to my research because I do a lot of research at places, and I knew like there was a couple banks that, famously the tournaments have always done good on these couple banks. And I said, all right, I know this is where probably the biggest population of fish is.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna put my boat down on like I had no clue. On day one of the tournament, I literally drove to where off limits was, set my boat down right outside of it, and just started fishing. I never picked my trolling motor up for the first 6 hours of the tournament. I wasn't dialed in. Like, it was just you gotta go back to your research. You gotta go back to what you do best, which I picked up a jerkbait and a chatterbait and started going down. Yeah, just go fishing.
Got to fish. Yeah, fish hard.
Yeah, so I had confidence in doing that, but it wasn't like I know I'm gonna catch them. It was like, all right, if there's fish here and people catch them here, I'm going to catch them too.
Right.
And that was kind of what I did for that tournament. And that's one thing. That's why research is such a big deal. Like, when you travel outside of this area, there's not a lot of research to do in the Waccamaw. You can, but it's pretty useless.
Right.
But, like, when you go to places where there's been a lot of tournaments, I can go on my phone and tell you exactly how it's going to go down. Like, I can tell you where all top 10 boats are going to be. I can tell you what baits they're going to be done with. I can tell you how they're going to do it just off of research. And that's kind of what I did at Eufaula, Oklahoma. I did a ton of research. I understood where I was going to go down. And I just happened to put my boat down and, get the right bites throughout the first day. So.
Do you go back and find, like, old coverage of tournaments on these places and watch it? Okay.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I was going to I figured.
The preparation, it pays off.
Yeah, preparation, I think. Like, honestly, in my opinion, I think research is single-handedly the most important thing in bass fishing. Like,
how many days do you pre-fish before a tournament?
So I pre-fish a lot. Like, I probably had 275 to 300 days on the water last year. And we only have 9 tournaments. There's 7 days. So
leading up to it, do you always fish the day before?
Yeah.
Or do you fish 3 days before, then let the fish rest?
So you have the tournament. So you have 4.5 days of practice. You have the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, half a day Wednesday, and then tournament starts Thursday. And that's how it lays out, and that's what I practice. But also I practice before that. But the thing is, like, I've talked to a lot of people, and I tell people you should already know exactly what you're doing before you even back in your boat. Like, on most of these places that there's research done, you should know exactly what to throw, where to throw it, and when to do everything before you even back in your boat. And all you're doing is verifying the information that you've already processed a lot of times.
Right. Yeah. You just reinforcing that. Let me ask you this: if you go into an area
About 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes.
on your pre-fish, if you go in there on your pre-fish, are you if you catching those fish, are you leaving them and then going scout somewhere else?
That was I figured that.
Yeah, so whenever I go to a place, let's say I'm like, you got to understand, also comes down to research. You got to know exactly what it's going to take to do good in the tournament, how much it takes to cut a check, how much it takes to make a top 10, how much it takes to win. And then how your practice goes, you think, all right, I can win it, I can top 10 it, I can get a check. And then in practice, whatever you think you can do, that's where you got to stop. So if it takes 5 3-pounders to cut a check, all right, I catch my first 3-pounder, I throw in there, I get another bite, I'm like, usually fish run in groups of size, I'm going to shake that fish off. I'm not going to set the hook on them. Let them go.
Don't educate them.
Exactly. Don't educate them. Leave. Go find new stuff. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes I pull in these areas. I caught a 3-pounder, shook another one off. It's a 1-pounder, and there's nothing else there, and I get burned. So that's probably the number one most difficult thing I've done this year is learning how to practice, because I used to just shake everything off. Like, I thought that was the deal. Like, go there, shake everything off, go back and catch them. And then I started noticing my tournaments were just doing this, like up, down, up, down. I was like, there's no way this is the right way. So this year I started just setting the hook on everything. And I said, if I'm a good enough angler, every fish tells you a story, and every single fish, if I can get more stories put together through my practice, I'll know exactly what to do, and I'll be able to adjust on the fly.
I like that.
So that's what I did this year instead. I didn't shake off hardly any fish this year, and I was able to adjust a lot better in tournaments this year than I have in previous years. But you can't do that. Like, when I was first starting out, if I caught every fish, I wouldn't catch a fish in the tournament because I wouldn't know how to adjust. It takes a long time to learn how to adjust a fish, and I'm lucky enough to be able to on the wood. I'm able to be on the water enough to be able to understand what every single fish tells me. But, it's a tough thing to do. But.
Yep. Well, listen, I know we got to get out of here. I want to thank you for coming over and hanging out with us. And, y'all, we're going to be here till 12 o'clock. Y'all come out. Again, JT Thompkins, JT Thompkins Fishing. Go find him on social media. How else can they find you? We got a website in the works, possibly, and
we do have a website. It's not out yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna be working on everything here soon. Hopefully, my wrap will have QR codes to all my websites and everything. But that'll be coming together soon. But yeah, JT Thompkins Fishing, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. That's basically where you're going to find me.
Well, man, we're looking forward to following you this year. Wish you the best of luck. I know it's, for you, we've talked about it. You and I have talked about it. It's going to be a big change. You're now throwing in the responsibility with all the business side of this, not just the fishing side of it. So it's going to be balancing that schedule and keeping it right. But I know one thing at the end of the day, you're going to put 110% into it, and that's why it's very easy to pull for you. That and the fact that you're a Grand Strand boy. That's why we're pulling for you, man.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, y'all, go make sure you follow JT Thompkins Fishing. All right, listen, River Rat Matt the River Rat, we want to thank you for having us out here. Officer Tommy Buchanan, we want to thank you for everything you've done and for coming and hanging out with us and for the Bojangles biscuit that I'm getting ready to enjoy. I want to thank Captain Chris Regan here, my good friend and partner, for coming over and hanging out with us this weekend. And you didn't have a charter today anyway, right? It was an easy, free weekend for you?
Yeah, I could have had an afternoon, but,
all right. Well, you need to run then.
Keep the boys busy.
You can hang out with us either way.
I already passed it off, so.
Captain Fred Rourk, Sweet Tea Charters, here in the house. And Chef Richard, as always, wherever you're at, I know he's walked. There he is. Chef Richard, thank you so much and for joining us. And, again, thank you to Waccamaw Outfitters for hosting us. Y'all, come on. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours. Got some great giveaways and great little prizes and great big prizes. Come down, spend $25, and you might win a turtle box. And if you don't have one, you're missing out, apparently. And I'll just tell you that me and Chris are getting ready to go shopping.
Yeah.
Me and Chris are going shopping, and hope y'all come down. We want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and want to tell you, on behalf of Southern Anglers Radio Show, we appreciate every single fish head out there, including Tony Fishhead, who is right here in front of me. And to all the other fish heads that showed up out here, thank you. And we will be back next week. I can't say next year yet. I keep forgetting it.
Almost.
We still got one more weekend.
Merry Christmas.
Well, we'll be back next week, and we're going to be at the new Pond Road Storage Studio in Merle's Inlet, broadcasting through the Sparks Toyota Tundra broadcast station. So we're going to be at our new little studio that we've got set up there in Merle's Inlet. I'm looking forward to that. And, man, just wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. Y'all have a great time. Remember the real reason for the season. And on behalf of my crew here, and myself, Captain E, and Super Jenna back in the studio. This has been the Southern English Radio Show on the Gator 107.9.
All right, you're clear.
All right.